Hi everyone, my name is Jasvir and I'll be presenting on Asynchronous Deep Model Reference Adaptive Control. This paper has been jointly co-authored by Dr. Girish Joshi and Professor Girish Chowdhary. So I'll begin with a short video on the importance of adaptive control. The above video was recorded by Dr. Chowdhary and others during their work. Here we have a fixed-wing aircraft which is made to follow a trajectory and one of its wings breaks mid-flight. If one were to use standard robust control algorithms, it would not work well in such cases due to uncertainties and parameter variations becoming large and unpredictable. Even control schemes involving reinforcement learning won't work, as the main challenge in these cases is to guarantee stability while learning to adapt to significantly changed behavior. So we'll start with direct model reference adaptive control, upon which DMRAC is based. Here we have a nonlinear system given as follows, where f of x denotes the unknown disturbance. The main objective of the controller is asymptotic bounded tracking. The reference model dynamics are given as follows, where R of t is bounded reference signal and ARM is Hurwitz. Now the ideal controller would be given as follows. The feedback gain k of x and feedforward gain k are designed according to the following equations. The last term in the control law is the adaptive control part and is used to negate disturbances f of x. Here we use universal approximation property of neural networks, and f of x can be defined according to the following equation. W star denotes set of ideal weights and phi of x denotes deep feature vector or basis function. However, since we don't know a priori values of W star, we need to approximate them online. That is where deep model reference adaptive control algorithm comes in. As we saw on the last slide, the ideal controller equation is as follows. However, we don't know a priori values of W star. The actual controller takes a similar form as ideal controller, but here parameters W and phi of x are learned using data collected on board. The last layer weights W are learned using standard model reference adaptive control update rule, and the deep feature vector phi of x is denoted as the last layer of neural network. This neural network is trained in a supervised manner, where the input to this neural network is the state vector and the output is adaptive control values. The weights W are updated at a faster rate relative to feature vector phi of x. In order to implement this algorithm on the quadcopter platform, which I'll talk more about in my next slide, we had to use an onboard offboard software architecture as shown. This was due to limited computational power of the drone, and hence the entire algorithm could not be implemented online. The offboard component consists of software modules which run entirely on a host computer and are responsible for training the neural network using data received from the drone. The onboard component comprises software modules that are responsible for state estimation along with computing the entire control effort. In our case, the outer layer weights are updated onboard as well, while the inner layer weights are updated asynchronously offboard after collecting some amount of data to improve learning performance. For flight experiments, the quadrotor we used was Parrot Mambo mini drone. The next experiment we performed was of rotor blade chipping that occurs mid-flight in order to test the fault tolerance capability of PID, MRAC and DMRAC control algorithms. The quadrotor is commanded to hover at 1 meter above the ground. Before starting the experiment, one of the blades is chipped and reattached using tape as shown in the figure in the top right corner. Due to centrifugal forces, the chipped blade breaks off and causes the fault into the system at an undetermined time. These are the plots that were obtained for each control algorithm for the rotor chipping experiment. Since this is not a control fault, to ensure the reliability, we report controller performance over multiple runs. In case of PID, only 2 runs were carried out, since in both cases the drone underwent severe oscillation and crashed. Tests conclusively demonstrated that PID is not capable of handling severe faults in the system even with the extensive tuning. Hence, we do not present its tracking plot. In the case of MRAC and DMRAC, 8 flight tests are carried out. Out of 8 test runs, MRAC managed a stable flight in only 4 runs, whereas no failure was observed in the case of DMRAC. Finally, we present a pictorial representation of training on feature vectors. The above figure shows visualization of a 20-dimensional feature vector used in the previous experiments in a 3-dimensional scatter plot. In the above figures, each point denote one feature representation of test state from either of the experiments. After training, we can see that the spatial separation between classes is significantly improved. This observation provides evidence to our hypothesis that neural networks learn to detect representations that are useful for different flight regimes and uncertainties experienced by the vehicle. Thank you. And for references, one can look at this slide.